Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh man, Project Veritas strikes again at the perfect moment. Talk about an October surprise. Democrats thought they had ammunition against Herschel Walker in Georgia with the little stunt that they've been pulling as their little October surprise. I don't think it's going to be as impactful as they think it is. Meanwhile, two of their top candidates in two of the most contentious races, John Fetterman and Katie Hobbs, are getting totally smoked in October, with the most recent MSNBC expose on John Fetterman's health, which is most likely going to tank his campaign into oblivion, and now this Project Veritas piece against Katie Hobbs, which is very likely to probably do the exact same thing. I mean, Katie Hobbs, what is this woman doing? What is she thinking? There's bad public image, bad campaigning, and then there's Katie Hobbs. She's taking it to a whole other level. She's so clearly incoherent, incompetent, and totally unlikable, and she's just making so many bad decisions. She looks awful. I mean, it's been bad enough already, but this Project Veritas piece just made it even worse. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here, and let's talk about why it's so important. I think a lot of people are underestimating just how impactful this Project Veritas piece is going to be, or really is. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so Project Veritas just releases their piece.
R.C. Maxwell's Project Veritas action. I just wanted to ask you a brief question about the statements that he's made.
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk politics with anyone who I don't know.
Multiple Project Veritas journalists investigated the Katie Hobbs campaign for governor in Arizona.
I would love nothing more than the opportunity to have a substantive conversation about the issues, and Carrie Ely has shown that she's capable of doing that. So we are providing opportunity for folks who hear me around the state, and we're going to keep doing it.
We have a lot of concerns about Katie's campaign. She's not debating Carrie Lake, which is...
Why not?
We don't know. They basically said only Democrats care about debates, and it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, but she is a Democrat.
They were saying only Democratic voters care, so they're not going to lose any votes because Democrats are going to vote for anyway, which maybe is true, but it's as a politician, you never want to say, oh, I'm taking these votes for granted.
I think it's as simple as that. They just don't think that the debate is worth her time, either because they think it's not going to change anyone's mind, or they think it might actively be bad for her in some way.
Did you watch the GOP primary debate? When Clean Elections was like, here's the debate format, it was exactly the same as the primary. And I was like, we're not going to put her in that, like, she's not going to be part of something like that. Like, if you want to make a format that actually allows for, like, a substantive policy debate, and where you can, like, compare positions, sure, we'll do that.
Would Katie support something like an assault weapons ban?
If she could, yeah. I mean, the problem is that's a federal issue, right? There's nothing she could do about it.
Right.
At least immediately, right? Instead of kind of advocating for it publicly, which is really more impactful once you're governor. So it's kind of like, this state, unfortunately, is crazy and love their guns, so we're not going to take the beat for it before she can do anything about it.
Oh.
He loves their guns. Like, he would never say something like Tom O'Halloran, congressman, Democrat, represents all this. Never.
Really?
Ever say anything like that.
Really? Because that's such a big issue here, huh?
Correct, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Is that an AR-15?
That is an AR-15. Easier to fire than a handgun.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of scary.
That's why it's scary.
Don't you think rules for thee but not for me is problematic for someone running for state office? The car's locked, Ms. Hobbs. Doesn't want to discuss policy.
And while it's not the most hard-hitting investigative reporting, what it really is just a terrible, and I mean terrible, awful, bad look for Katie Hobbs. Just that first shot where a Project Veritas reporter sits down at the table with Katie Hobbs and asks her a couple simple questions, just her response to that moment, for me, is almost game over. And I'm sure a lot of people are viewing it the exact same way. The moment the words Project Veritas were uttered, it seemed as though panic set in. She starts shaking and panicking and freaking out, fails to grab her Coke, spills it all over the place, and just runs away. And I think what most people are probably thinking in response to that is, what are you doing? What are you running from? Where are you going? And it adds on to the overall ethos, or the overall image of Katie Hobbs' campaign, or Katie Hobbs as a politician. She's always running away from challenge. She's unwilling to meet it head on and answer questions. She doesn't want to be challenged. She wants to say what she has to say and move on, run away, and not deal with any scrutiny, not have to defend any of her points or previous policy stances or statements. It's really not a good look. Some may argue, well, she's being ambushed in public. So what? She's a public figure. She's running for office. Journalists are allowed to ask you questions in public spaces. You can't run for office and then run away from questions and run away from the camera. And you certainly can't run away from your opposition, but that's what she's doing. Project Veritas is a right-wing organization, obviously. But if you're a Democrat and your opposition, what you're running against is the right wing, and then right-wing media comes to challenge you, if you really want to look like a strong, competent leader who has their stuff together and has a coherent message against the right's talking points, well then you should take an opportunity like that to slam them, to absolutely BTFO them. But instead, she panics, she shrivels, she basically assumes the fetal position and calls the police. Help! Call 911! Project Veritas is asking me questions! Okay, Katie. Remember what we told you about calling 911? It's only for emergencies, Katie. Please calm down. You're fine. But that's my reaction. I mean, that's the vibe that I get. It's nothing but cowardice. It's so cowardly. How can you lead the great state of Arizona and be this much of a scaredy cat? Especially when you're down in the polls. I mean, you need big media moments, big convincing moments to get people on your side. And all she does is run away. She's banking on getting the Democrat vote, and that's it. I'm just gonna get the vote blue no matter who vote, and I'm gonna win. Screw the independents, and screw motivating people to vote for me. I'm just gonna bank on Democrats voting for me, and that's gonna secure my victory. It's not gonna happen. It's such an absolutely terrible strategy. Katie Hobbs' campaign decisions and PR decisions have been absolutely awful. And especially when you compare and contrast with Kari Lake. I mean, Kari Lake hasn't ran away from anything. She is constantly mobbed and surrounded by the press. And she gets these viral moments one after another where she just puts them all to their place. And people, I think, are looking at Kari Lake and saying, you know, this is somebody who has the charisma, they have that it factor, the strength, the poise, the coherence to really be a strong leader and represent the interest of Arizona voters. Where they look at Katie Hobbs and she's just kind of dusty and cringe. You know, I look at Katie Hobbs and I just think social worker, librarian, elementary school teacher, which is fine. I mean, it's perfectly fine to work in those jobs, but most people who are working in those jobs don't necessarily have the temperament or the ability to lead an entire state to greatness and glory. It's just a bad look. And then on top of that, Project Veritas then gets Democrat campaign strategists spilling the beans on these disingenuous Democrats and their dishonest tactics of not telling you their real stances on issues like gun control and gun confiscation until after they get elected. And also saying the real reason why Katie Hobbs doesn't want to show up to a debate because they don't think it's going to benefit her. It's another glimpse into the Democrat campaign office. And it's everything that we predict. It's everything that we constantly say and we criticize them with. They're dishonest, they're disingenuous, they want to get elected on a milquetoast policy platform and then shift and go straight to the left the moment they get elected. Or I guess the opposite on the federal level during the primary process, pander towards the left and then go moderate for the general election. And then once you get elected, I mean, just backstab pretty much everyone except for the establishment. All we see from these Democrats is people who are hell-bent on power, people who are slimy and slippery, disingenuous, manipulative, you know, terms that aren't exactly virtues. And there's a lot of questions surrounding people like Katie Hobbs. There's a lot of questions that, you know, something like a debate would probably help answer. But Katie Hobbs continues to have the same stance. She continues to double down on her talking point that a debate wouldn't serve Arizona voters. How? How exactly? Please explain that to me. I mean, hello, dummy, you're running for office to represent the people of Arizona and they have questions. They want to see you on a debate so you can defend your stances and they can get an idea for who you are and what kind of policies you're going to implement. Oh, I don't think a debate serves the people. You're just a liar. Like at that point, you're just a disingenuous hack. You're a liar. You're dishonest. And of course, on top of all of it, you're a coward. Her campaign is sinking like a rock to the bottom of the ocean so incredibly fast. I mean, folks, Kari Lake has taken a decisive lead here across the polling data. And of course, Kari Lake's lead is probably even bigger than the lead is suggesting in the polls. And just a couple months ago, Kari Lake was considered unelectable and Katie Hobbs was considered to have this one in the bag, which probably at the end of the day is fueling her campaign strategy. She doesn't feel like she has to answer questions or do anything because she's looking at polls from like 6 months ago and thinking, well, I'll probably just win by virtue because Kari Lake is extreme. No, you're a coward. You've made the worst campaign decisions I've ever seen. This Katie Hobbs campaign has been nothing but a monumental train wreck, and to be honest, I absolutely loved every little bit of it. Now, hopefully we could just see this whole thing translate into a massive Kari Lake victory, snowballing into a Blake Masters victory. We'll have to see, hopefully. It's possible that I'm totally wrong, who knows? But my prediction here is that these Arizona Democrats have shot themselves in the foot, and it's pretty much game over. That's what I got for you guys, though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for it. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.